Hello, I'm Dr. Zondrabel McRoy. I'm your virtual PLC lead for the 6 through 12 band, and we are going to jump right into webinar 7. And the topic is tips from the field, ways to make the job easier. All right, so we're going to jump right in just with some practical things to help you try to make the job, which is a huge job of being a band director, a little bit easier. So I'm a 20-year veteran. I just finished my 20th year in music education, and I just figured, okay, I'll share a few tips with you that I hope are helpful. And we don't often have enough of these conversations. So let's jump right in. So we'll go over today making it happen each day, getting some attention, thinking outside of the box. Discipline is not a bad word, finding balance, and learning to pivot. So let's just start with making it happen each day. And just in case you can't tell, yes, I'm in my band room. My band director's work is never done. So I am coming to you live from my school. So we often forget how important the day to day activities are to the success of our band program. And we're just going to go over a few tips about basically just the dirty work that has to happen. So the biggest thing is maybe for me is in structuring our instructional time. So making sure that we're structuring our class the same way every day so that the kids know that there's a sense of continuity and they know what to expect when they walk into your room. So entering the classroom, pre-instructional time behaviors, instructional time, how to build that, that's the meat and potatoes of the class, your close down process, and exiting the classroom. So those areas are really, really important. That's just the day to day activity of band directing, right? So let's just start to break some of this down a little bit. Um, and so I love this quote: education is not the filling of a pail, so you're not pouring into your students. But truly, the meaning of education is the lighting of a fire. You want to enliven kids and empower them to really take charge of their learning and have a thirst and a passion for learning. So, having a productive class, what does that look like? Let's break it down. Pre instructional time. So, this is the perfect time to set the tone for the class. Um, my husband, who is a master teacher, especially middle school, he's taught exclusively in his 21 years of teaching in middle school, and that's his lane. He's really good at it. He's the kid whisperer. I tell him all the time, especially the middle school kid whisperer. He just has it figured out. But a fist bump at the door goes a long way. So he'll stand at the door as the kids are coming in, fist bump, fist bump, fist bump, elbow bump, all that kind of stuff. It is kind of modified since COVID, but that sets the tone. And then this picture shows me what a good fist bump at the beginning of class will do. This is the kid that never really answers any questions, but in his other classes, but he's really engaged and really lit up about band because his band directors care about him, right? And so that's just in my mind. I don't know who this kid is. It's just a stock photo, but I imagine that that kid got a fist bump at the door on his way into class. And so using a rehearsal slide, I've talked about this in other webinars, but I can't reiterate this enough. It's really important. Rehearsal slides keep you focused, keep the kids focused, and it lets them know what our goals are for the day. We've actually added another section to our rehearsal slide for next year, and that section is goals. So daily goals. So we want to make sure that the kids are staying really goal oriented and staying really focused on the long term goals that we have and the short term goals that we have. So, why do I use a rehearsal slide? That's why. I just want to make sure that they're focused and then they know what's happening. Now, the real reason, the non-academic reason that I use a rehearsal slide is so they don't ask me a million questions before we begin class. They're not asking me what is the order, what are we playing today, what order are we playing it in, what percussion equipment do we need, blah, 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 blah. I can't. I just can't. I need that time to get my mind together, and I want to spend that time, walking around the room, making sure that everybody's good, checking in on kids, kind of getting a pulse check of space before we start. And I don't like to be frantic at the beginning of class. So they know that I don't like to answer a lot of questions because I do big announcements at the beginning and the end of class. So save your questions. I'm probably going to answer it. Now, the instructional time, I call it, and honestly, the entire class is instructional because they're learning throughout the entire class. They're learning how to behave in a classroom. They're learning how to take care of equipment. They're learning how to problem solve. They're learning how to prioritize. They're just learning a lot of things from the time they walk through the door till the time they leave. But just from a like a framework, educational framework kind of a standpoint, the instructional time is the meat and potatoes of the band class. This is where we spend the bulk of our time. Um, and so music theory is essential. That needs to be embedded in the instructional time at least 2 to 3 days a week, if not every day. Um, I say here at least one day a week, and that is if you are on a really like short 45-minute, 50-minute schedule. One day a week, Theory Thursday is what we used to do when we were on that schedule. Now that we're on block, we're committing about two at the beginning of the year, 3 days a week to music theory lessons. It was so important. It will pay off with the repertoire, with the method book. It will pay off. And so, speaking of method book, using the method book to build their conceptual knowledge and their skills will help them enjoy what comes next. Repertoire. And you're basically putting all of it together. You're putting your music theory together. You're putting your method book work together, and you're able to truly explore the repertoire rather than beating it out of them, right? Beating the music into them and then asking them to regurgitate this music that they've been um, force fed in a way, which is what I think of rote teaching. Um, it allows for you to have a much more pleasant, much more engaging, and a lot more depth. There's a lot more depth to your repertoire work once you've built those skills and concepts. And so we do, our music theory time. The bulk of our class is spent on method book, which means we're doing long tones, we're doing scales, technical studies, rhythm reading, um, and chorales and all the things. And then we're doing like reading lines out of a book, which we call power reading, so that they can just sight read as much as possible. And then we, deal with new concepts that we want them to have and new skills we want them to have in that time. And then the repertoire, we spend the least amount of time there. Um, and then the repertoire time gets bigger as we move through the unit, and the method book time gets a little smaller to accommodate for full runs and macro work, right? And so then we take that time to really build those concepts and skills in the middle of class. And then as they've built those and mastered those, we're able to move on to the repertoire. So the next section we're going to talk about, and this is meat and potato stuff as well, getting some attention. And this is advocacy and community involvement. So advocacy can be described as the most talked about subject that band directors really don't talk about. We don't talk about it because no one really likes to do it. And then community engagement can be defined as boots on the ground advocacy. So every time you go out into the community, you're advocating for your group. So let's break these two things down. The best advocacy is a strong, successful program. So having a quality program is going to be your best form of advocacy. You don't have to say a word. the product speaks for itself. So the NAFME advocacy position statement um, is states one of the best forms of preventative advocacy is a strong, vital, quality music education program. That takes no additional effort on top of just doing your job, right? Now, on top of that and doing your job, being a strong advocate requires three things: being vocal, being visible, and being accessible. So don't shy away from speaking up about your program successes. This makes it easier to speak up about your program's needs. So if people know the accomplishments of the program, they're much more willing to speak up about the program's needs or to listen to you talk about the program's needs and meet you where you are, meet you with, solutions to closing those gaps. Be visible. Be a visible member of the school community, get involved in committees, get involved in the PTO, get involved in different organizations, get out into the community and get to know the people in the community as well. And be accessible. Share your contact information so that people can reach you. So if you do a performance out in the community, make sure people know how to get in touch with you so that they can offer their donations or whatever. And never shy away from saying we gladly accept donations. We are a nonprofit organization. We're 501c3, and we are glad to take your tax deductible donations. And also make sure your website's updated so that when people go to the website or they go to the school website, they have a correct email address for you. So, community engagement is also known as boots on the ground advocacy. This is where you're getting out into the community and you're advocating through performance. Um, and the more you give to the community that you serve, the more the community will be willing to give to your program. So, keep that in mind. Get out there, be visible. How does your program become an integral part of the community? Sorry, my face is covering up some of that. Um, Consistently showing up for even the smallest event. The PBIS awards pep rally at the elementary school seems like something that, you can just play a track. You don't really need the pep band for that. But you know what? The kids will love it. The community loves it. Show up for it. It's worth it. It'll pay off in the end. Consistently deliver a quality product at these events. So when you go out and you perform, the product that you present is of high quality and people are entertained and they are pleased with what they see. And then have students be polite and engaging. So when they're out in the community, have them engage with the little elementary school kids. Have them engage with their former elementary teachers. Have them engage with the residents at the assisted living facility that you go and you play carols for or whatever. Have them engage with the people and have them be very polite. That is the first section, and I look forward to seeing you for section 2. See you soon. Bye.